They looked at me and decided in about half a second that I didn't belong. Not because I said anything wrong, not because I broke a rule, but because of how I looked standing there quiet, tired, holding my wife's hand. And yeah. That moment, that tiny pause before the judgment lands, you know exactly what I mean, if you've ever been there. This is the story of the day I was reminded that people don't always see you for who you are, only for what fits inside their narrow little box. It started early that morning at Brookdale International Airport, the kind of place that smells like burnt coffee and impatience. My wife and I were flying out to celebrate our anniversary 48 years together. Can you believe that? We weren't dressed fancy. I had on an old brown jacket. I liked the sleeves worn soft with time. She had on her comfortable shoes, the ones that don't hurt her feet anymore. We weren't trying to impress anyone, we were just trying to get where we were going. When we stepped into the priority boarding lane, I felt a few eyes turn toward us, then quickly away. Nothing new. I've lived long enough to recognize that look. The one that says, "What are you doing here?" The woman at the gate. Tall, perfectly pressed uniform smile, sharp enough to cut glass, she stopped us with one raised hand. "This line is for premium passengers only," she said, not even unkindly at first, just firm-practiced. I smiled, held out our boarding passes, and said, "That's us." She took them between two fingers like they might stain her, glanced once, then laughed. Not a chuckle. A laugh. "These can't be right," she said, eyes sliding back to my jacket, my wife's bag. "You need to go to the back and wait your turn." My wife squeezed my hand. I could feel her shrinking beside me, already preparing herself for disappointment. I tried again, calmer this time. "Ma'am, these are our seats. We didn't make a mistake." Her smile vanished. "Sir," she said, lowering her voice like she was doing me a favor, "first class costs more than some people make in a year. Let's not waste everyone's time." The line behind us shifted. Someone sighed loudly. And just like that, the room decided we were the problem. We were escorted, not politely, not gently, but efficiently, all the way to the very back of the plane. Last row. No recline. Right by the restroom. The smell hit us before we even sat down. My knees pressed into the seat in front of me. My wife sat carefully, already breathing a little faster than normal. She whispered, "It's okay. Let's just get there." That broke something in me, but I swallowed it. Pride doesn't help when the door's already closed. Up front, I could hear laughter. Glasses clinking. Service beginning. Back where we were, time slowed down. A kid slammed his seat back into my knees without a glance. When my wife needed water to take her medication, we waited. 5 minutes. 10. When a flight attendant finally showed up, he looked annoyed, like we were interrupting his real job. "You'll have to wait," he said. "Service hasn't reached this section yet." I told him it was for medicine. He shrugged. "Everyone has a reason." I sat there staring at the seat back in front of me, feeling something old and heavy settle in my chest. Not anger, not yet. Disappointment. Because the truth is, I built the company that owned that plane. Not alone, not overnight, but with years of sweat, risk, and failure. I stepped away years ago. Handed control to my daughter, kept my name off the spotlight. That flight was supposed to be a quiet test. See how things were really going. See how people were treated when no one thought it mattered. Then came the moment that changed everything. My wife's hand started shaking. Subtle, but I know her. Her blood sugar was dropping. I pressed the call button again. When the same attendant returned, I asked firmly now for food. Not a luxury, just something. He rolled his eyes and said, "We're out of meals. You can buy a snack box." I looked at him and said, "My wife is diabetic." He laughed under his breath. "Sir, if she has special needs, she should have planned ahead." That's when the woman from the gate showed up. Same sharp smile, same posture. She stood over us, not bending down, not lowering herself to our level. "I'm told you're causing an issue," she said. I explained calmly exactly what was happening. She sighed dramatically, grabbed a small bag of pretzels and tossed it onto my wife's lap. "That's all you're getting," she said. My wife flinched. A tear slipped down her cheek, and something inside me snapped clean in half. I said very quietly, "Pick that up. Apologize." She laughed. Or what she said. "You'll complain. That's when a young guy across the aisle spoke up. Actually, he said, holding up his phone, "This is all being recorded." The color drained from her face. She lunged for the phone. He pulled it back. "Touch me, and it's assault," he said. The cabin went silent. You could feel it shift. Power slipping. I took out my phone. Old thing barely works half the time. I sent one email. Short, honest, no drama. By the time the captain came back to our row, the air felt different. He took off his hat, knelt, apologized. Loud enough for everyone to hear. We were moved to proper seats. My wife got food, real food medical attention. The woman from the gate was relieved of duty mid-flight. She stood there shaking, finally realizing who she had been talking to. I didn't yell. I didn't threaten. I just told her the truth. That treating people like they don't matter is never part of the job. When we landed, the video was already everywhere. Millions of views. Consequences came fast. Jobs lost. Policies changed. Apologies issued. And, yeah, people called it karma. Months later, I saw her again. Not in uniform, behind a counter being spoken to the same way she once spoke to us. I didn't smile. I didn't feel joy. Just a quiet sadness that it took losing everything for her to understand what dignity really means. So here's my question for you. Was it too much, or was it exactly enough? Have you ever been judged before you opened your mouth, written off because you didn't look the part? And if you were on that plane, would you have spoken up or looked away? Tell me what you think. I want to hear it, because these stories don't matter unless we talk about them.